If your dog lunges, stares, or barks at other dogs or people on walks and you feel like there is just not enough trust between you, you're not alone. And in this video, I will give you 3 common mistakes people make with their rescue dogs and what you can do to immediately gain your dog's trust and make these encounters a lot less stressful. But first, let me tell you this. Your dog is not dominant, being difficult, and he doesn't want to annoy you. These embarrassing outbursts are usually just a symptom of something that lies a little deeper, like fear, frustration, stress, overwhelm, and sometimes even trauma. And that's exactly why random tips from the internet usually don't help or even make it worse. So this guide is especially for your insecure rescue dog, based on years of experience and education. So before we get to the mistakes, we have to understand this. Why is it so important to work with the real issue and not just the symptom? Because wouldn't it be nice to just stop the barking? Well, if we don't understand what's behind it, we cannot teach our dogs to actually trust us, and we cannot help them to be able to cope with stressful situations sustainably. So they will pop up again. Maybe exactly like the issues we see now, maybe a little differently, but we will come back to that a little bit later again. For now, this is why we work on the cause of our issues. Now, mistake number 1, we start training way too close to the trigger. So the person or the other dog is way too close to your dog, so your dog is already reacting, and that's when we hear things like, my dog doesn't take food or doesn't take food outside, my dog doesn't listen, I cannot distract my dog, or everything he learned is gone in the situation. That's true, all of it. The reason is your dog's already in way over his head. That's like if you're not really comfortable speaking in front of a crowd, and instead of teaching you skills step by step, I'm going to take you on a stage and tell you to give a speech in front of 50,000 people naked. That's not gonna work, right? Same for our dogs. If we are too close, we cannot expect them to listen to anything because they are just overwhelmed. So if your dog starts staring, walks slower, closes his or her mouth, or you feel the tension rising, you know you're getting to the point of no return. So it's getting too close. What you can do instead, start working with your dog in a distance you're absolutely sure your dog can listen to you. And that might seem very far away. It can be 20 meters, 50 meters, or even more. But that's not a setback. We need a distance where our dogs are still able to learn. And if your dog cannot take food outside at all, that's information too. So you might need to start on being okay with the outside world to begin with. Now, as a little exercise for just today or your next walk, try to see when your dog's body language changes. Not when your dog starts escalating, but before that. And you don't have to watch out for a specific something, just some kind of change. And if you can't pinpoint what exactly you see, but your gut says do something, take that. That's where you can start training. Mistake number 2, pushing through the encounter. What we dog parents sometimes believe is we just have to be consequent or consistent and just push through. But that's not consistency, that's overwhelm. Because if we try to just push our dogs through the situation, no matter how they feel, they cannot learn that this is okay. It doesn't feel like they have accomplished something. It feels like they are at this monster's mercy, right? So the fear gets worse. In other words, there is something dangerous coming and I can't escape. So what happens in the long run is our dogs get more intense, react faster, or escalate into something worse, or they give up. All of that is not a long-term solution. So what you can do is make moving away your weapon. So again, you're playing with distance and you're telling your dog, I have seen you, I have seen your cry for help, and I'm getting you out of the situation. So whenever you see your dog struggling, you take him away from whatever's scary. That's how trust can form. Now, for your walk, as a little exercise, think about 3 possibilities that can help you increase distance and or make your dog feel more comfortable. That can mean walking in a curve instead of going straight for the monster. It can mean stepping behind a parked car so your dog doesn't see the other dog anymore. It can mean stepping onto a driveway. It can mean turning around and walking back. Anything and everything is possible. Mistake number 3, only working on the symptom. And we've touched on that a little bit in the beginning. What I mean by that is, don't step in the obvious trap. So don't think, how do I stop the barking, the lunging, the growling, the staring, the symptom? Think about, why does my dog need this in the first place? So, in other words, how can I make my dog feel more comfortable in this situation so he can make better choices? For insecure dogs, the lunging, barking, growling on leash is often just one part of a way larger issue. So they might be insecure outside anyway. They might be insecure all the time. They might be insecure with you. They might not feel comfortable on a leash. They might not feel comfortable in a certain environment. Whatever it is for your dog, this is what is way more important than the behavior you see on leash. And if you're not sure, there are a few things you can watch out for. Like, does your dog take food outside? And is he relaxed, or does he snatch the treat out of your hand? Does your dog have trouble concentrating, either in general or outside? Is your dog very sensitive to sounds, people, smells, dogs, whatever, in general? Does your dog have a hard time relaxing at home? Does your dog seem overwhelmed by your day-to-day life? If so, working on the leash and single triggers is just one part of a way larger training concept. So if your dog's batteries are half empty all the time, working on specific triggers is way harder. That's why we need a more holistic approach to your dog's well-being. 3 steps that help you change your walks from now on. Step number 1, reduce the stress. So walk in an area where you don't meet a gazillion other dogs, people, whatever, and where you can just breathe a little. Not forever, but just enough so that you and your dog can relax a little and your dog can reset enough so that learning becomes more easy again. Step number 2, have your dog's distance in mind. So again, watch your dog and see this first shift in body language and react early so that the dog doesn't have to react for you. Step number 3, teach something positive. Your dog can learn things that help him cope with the encounter itself. Everything your dog has learned can help. Maybe for your dog that's a cue to come with you. Maybe it's a search game. Maybe it's a nose target. Maybe it's a reorient. It's not that important what cue you take, and rather that your dog has learned it really well in a quiet and positive setting before you take it outside. And if you're not sure, go to the description. You will find a course there. That's the logical next step, because doing this all alone can be a little overwhelming. And in this course, you will have a complete step-by-step guide on how to relax your encounters. Also, how to teach relaxed leash walking for insecure dogs. That's way easier than doing it alone. Now, for a little bit of truth, keep in mind, you don't have to win against your dog, and you don't have to be the boss or the alpha or dominant or whatever. Also, you don't have to make your walks more and more and more difficult to see improvements. Same as you don't need to be more strict or correct your dog more or anything like that. What you need is to watch your dog, to really help your dog, to be the safe haven for your dog, and to create a plan that actually guides you through the whole process so that you can have success after success after success with as little setbacks as possible. And just to make sure you hear this, because it's something we often tell ourselves, no, you're not the wrong person for your dog. Probably not. I don't know you and your dog, but just because you have this issue doesn't mean you're wrong for each other or that anybody else could do a better job. It also doesn't mean that your dog is hopeless. It just means your dog doesn't feel safe in this situation right now and you need a better plan to work through it. Tell me in the comments what you have tried before. I would love to know. And always keep in mind that this can be the beginning of something really, really cool. Now, I know that maybe you need a little bit of an example how this can look like. So I have made a video for you where you can see just that here.